Hey everyone, welcome back to Darnley Cyber Cafe, Full Brew Edition, where tech history brews strong with a shard of sarcasm and a splash of nostalgia. Today, we're cracking open the digital time capsule because, cue dramatic music, Microsoft is turning 50. That's right, half a century of innovation, ambition, blue screens, and boot-up chimes. And through all the highs and lows, one thing has defined Microsoft more than anything else: Windows. Now, let's take a moment here before I go deep diving through the decades. Windows isn't just an operating system, it's the digital wallpaper of our lives. For those who have been around at the start, clearly, from clunky, chunky beige desktops in the 80s to sleek hybrid tablets in your backpack today, Windows has been the portal through which generations have worked, played, and occasionally screamed in frustration. Whether it was your first PC game, your first Excel spreadsheet, yeah, I sympathize, you poor soul, or the first time you accidentally deleted your whole project 5 minutes before it was due, odds are a version of Windows was right there with you. It evolved with us, learned from us, and sometimes totally ignored us, but it never stopped shaping the way we interacted with technology. And speaking of shaping tech, you can't talk about Windows without acknowledging the other giant in the room, Apple. For decades, they've been the yin to Microsoft's yang, fighting over our hearts, minds, and wallets. While Microsoft was busy spreading Windows across the globe, Apple was off creating its own sleek, minimalist alternative with the Mac. And let's not forget the ionic battle of the I'm a Mac versus I'm a PC commercials. If you were alive in the 2000s, you'll know what I'm talking about. Two different philosophies, but both changing the tech world in their own way. But today is not about Apple. It's about Windows. So let's give a nod to that friendly rivalry and deep dive into the evolution of Microsoft Windows from 1.0 to 11, with all the glorious, awkward, and sometimes questionable versions in between. MS-DOS, ground zero, the pre-Windows era. Before there were Windows, there was DOS. Command line jungle. No icons, no mouse, no mercy. If you didn't know the command, you were lost. It was like sending a text to a robot in Morse code. This was the operating system that started it all. Have you watched the movie Pirates of Silicon Valley? A must-watch in my eyes. Next, we got Windows 1.0, the birth of the graphical user interface in 1985. Oh, Windows 1.0, the brave little toaster of an operating system. Released in 1985, it looked like more of a etch and sketch than anything we'd recognize today. But let's be honest, nobody was rushing out to buy it. We called the mouse a pointing device back then, which sounds more of a sci-fi weapon than a productivity tool. Still, it brought windows that could actually overlap, kind of, sort of. Okay, barely, but it was a start. Windows 3.0 and 3.1, the glow-up, 1990 to 1992. This is when things started clicking, literally. Windows 3.1 gave us true type fonts, screensavers, and introduced File Manager to the world. And for many, this was their first digital crush. If Windows 1.0 was awkward middle school, Windows 3.1 was the high school glow-up. Windows 95, the rock star, in 1995. Cue the Rolling Stones. This was the Beatles on Ed Sullivan moment for Microsoft. The start menu was born, plug and play arrived, sometimes working, sometimes just pretending. And yes, it had its own instructional video starring Jennifer Aniston and Matthew Perry. Talk about a cultural crossover here. We went from 16-bit to 32-bit and never looked back. Unless we crashed and had to restart in safe mode. Oh, I do have the memories of this beloved operating system. Those were the days, eh? Windows 98, the chill sequel, in 1998. This was basically Windows 95 with internet training wheels. Sleeker, more stable, and rocking that new startup sound that felt like a digital spa day. Windows ME, the forgettable cousin, in 2000. A moment of silence for the Millennium Edition. Actually, never mind. I don't want to touch this. Let's move on quickly before it crashes again. Windows 2000, the Office darling, in 2000. This was the serious sibling, business-minded, layered Windows, some transparency effects. It wore a tie to work and meant it. Windows XP, the People's Champ, 2001. Oh, XP, that grassy green hill and blue sky wallpaper is burned into all of our memories. Stable, friendly, and long-lived. Some people still try to run this well into the 2010s. A lot of us grew up on XP. It felt like home, until viruses moved in like bad roommates. Windows Vista, the problem child, 2007. Slick visuals, glassy effects, and flip 3D. Too bad it was about as stable as a house of cards in a wind tunnel. Looked great, ran like a moody teenager, and reminded me of Windows ME. Windows 7, the Redemption Arc, 2009. Clean, fast, and reliable. Like Vista, but on therapy and a better sleep schedule. Windows 7 was what Vista wanted to be when it grew up. And it was the final print cover of PC Magazine, too. End of an era. Windows 8, The Identity Crisis, 2012. Yes, Windows 8, that operating system that forgot it was a desktop. It was like Microsoft woke up one day and said, hey, you know what would be fun? Making everyone use a tablet interface on their laptops. Charms bar, missing start menu. We were all confused. Even Microsoft was like, oh, oops. But in typical Microsoft fashion, the following OSs was always a disaster. Windows 10, the Cloud Freezer, 2015. This was Windows whispering, hey, sorry about 8. We're cool now, right? The start menu came back like nothing else, and things felt normal again. It was fast, user-friendly, and became one of the most widely adopted Windows versions in history. A real comeback. Windows 11, the Glow Up 2.0, 2021. Rounded corners, center taskbar, fancy new sounds. Underneath, it's still Windows 10 in a tuxedo, but I'm not complaining. It runs smooth, it's stylish, and now it's getting smart. Really smart. With Copilot AI now built in, your operating system isn't just a tool. It's trying to be your coworker. But let's be real. Windows will always be Windows. You still reboot it once a week just to keep up the peace, or you'll be investing in cybersecurity solutions to thwart the next cyber attack. So there you have it, 50 years of Microsoft and almost 40 years of Windows. From DOS prompts to AI copilots, from Paint to productivity suites, from Start Me Up to smart recommendations. Windows helps shape the way we use computers, the way we work, and the way we connect. And while we've had our why is it updating now moments, we wouldn't be here without the blue screen, the Control-Alt-Delete rescue, or the familiar hum of a Windows boot up. Of course, we can't forget Apple. They've been right there, pushing innovation, setting trends, and reminding us that there's always another way to do things. But whether you're Team Mac or Team Windows, one thing is clear: Microsoft changed the game. Cheers to you, Microsoft. Half a century of chaos and code. May your Windows always be open and your updates always optional. Until next time, this is Darnley Cyber Cafe, where history, humor, and high-speed internet collide. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Darnley Cyber Cafe. Please like and subscribe for future coffee roasts. Until next time, keep your coffee hot, your Windows updated, and remember, knowledge is power.